What's up, fellow bike nerds, and welcome back to the Rewind presented by 99 Spokes, where we catch you up on all the biggest cycling stories from the previous month. September had no shortage of news to cover, and today we're looking at everything from road racing drama to BMX bikes. But first, there's an all-new helmet on the market that's already taken the coveted top spot of Virginia Tech's helmet safety rating. That helmet is the Canyon Deflector, which is the first to feature a new safety technology called Release Layer System, or RLS. Unlike MIPS, which relies on a low-friction liner or padding between the rider's head and the EPS foam, RLS uses essentially tiny polycarbonate ball bearings between the EPS and the exterior shell, allowing the shell to rotate and even break off from the helmet itself upon impact. As of right now, RLS is only available on that Canyon Deflector we already mentioned, as well as two helmets from Hexer, which was co-founded by RLS's founder, Jamie Cook. But Cook says that they're planning on licensing RLS to other helmet manufacturers, and seeing that high score it's already gotten through Virginia Tech, we're guessing we're going to see more of this technology popping up on more helmets in the near future. While we're talking about fancy accessories for your noggin, we might as well talk about Oakley's new pair of smart sunglasses, the Meta Vanguard. At first glance, they don't look too different from a standard pair of Katos, but hidden inside that chunky frame are a slew of features designed specifically for cyclists and other athletes. First up, there's a pair of wind-canceling open-ear speakers that allow you to listen to music, take calls, or even get real-time ride input without blocking out your surroundings. There's also a voice-activated camera capable of capturing video and stills without ever taking your hands off the bars. But the real magic, at least for cyclists, is its integration with Garmin and Strava. The Oakley Meta Vanguard lists for $499, which sounds like a bargain when you compare it to their $349 flagship analog glasses. And you can pre-order your own from Oakley's website now. If I had to choose one product from this month that I'm most excited to try out, it would be the new DT Swiss DEG DF. This is DT's take on a limiting pedal kickback, which is a bit of a buzzword as of late. In case you're unfamiliar with the concept, these devices, which include things like O-Chain's Active Spider and E13's Sidekick Hub, work by decoupling the drivetrain from the rear wheel's movement through the suspension cycle, reducing pedal kickback and allowing the suspension to move more freely. The DEG DF is a simple threaded ring that installs in their DEG rear hub, and once installed, can be changed from 0, 10, and 20 degrees of play before the free hub engages. It's also quite affordable, listing for just $176, and adds zero weight to your bike, since you're essentially removing one rig and placing this ring in its place. The only real downside is that it's only available with DT Swiss DEG hubs. But for riders who already have one and are looking to experiment with improved suspension performance, then the DEG DF seems like a no-brainer. Switching now from components and accessories to complete bikes. And up first, we have the all-new Specialized Diverge 4. The biggest update here is probably the addition of Future Shock 3.0, which delivers 20 millimeters of hydraulically damped suspension, which Specialized claims can save up to 11 watts on rough surfaces. Speaking of rough terrain, the Diverge now clears massive 29 by 2.2 inch mountain bike tires and gets a half-degree slacker head tube angle, longer chainstays, and a lower bottom bracket, all of which making the new Diverge more stable at speed and more confident on technical terrain than ever. The in-frame storage gets an update as well, with SWAT 4.0 on the carbon bikes and 3.0 on the alloy bikes. This is the first time that the aluminum Diverge has had in-frame storage. I think that's pretty awesome. Speaking of aluminum bikes, the base model E5 Sport lists for $2,099 and tops out with the $10,499 Pro LTE. But interestingly, there's no S-Works version as of yet. Let's stick with gravel bikes for just a second longer, because this month we also saw Trek release their first ever e-gravel bike, the Checkpoint Plus SL. The new bike features TQ's HPR60 drive system, which puts out 350 watts of peak power and 60 Newton meters of torque, and is powered by a fully integrated 360 watt-hour battery. Trek claims that this can get you a range of up to 50 miles, and for folks looking to explore even further, it is compatible with TQ's 160 watt-hour range extender. What's even more impressive in my book is its low weight, with top-tier models coming in at just over 30 pounds or 13.7 kilograms. Another highlight is that other than the motor, the Checkpoint Plus SL is essentially a carbon copy of the analog bike it's named after, and has identical geometry and tire clearance. As of right now, there are 3 available models of the Checkpoint Plus SL, 2 of which are fully rigid, and 1 comes with a 40mm RockShox Rudy fork. So whether you're bike packing deep into the backcountry or just trying to keep up with faster friends, the new Checkpoint Plus SL is a great addition to the growing e-gravel market. Switching now from gravel to mountain with Polygon's first carbon enduro bike in years. The all-new Colossus N Carbon features essentially the same geometry and aluminum rear triangle as the current model. It gets 170mm of IFS suspension, a 63.5-degree head tube angle, and a flip chip to run both a full 29 or MX setup. But the carbon front triangle is claimed to shave 500 grams off the frame's weight. The bike is also the first Polygon to feature in-frame storage, which they've cheekily called the Poly Pocket. The highlight for me though has definitely got to be the value of the complete bike. For $4,999, you get that new carbon frame, plus full RockShox Ultimate level suspension, Shimano XTR brakes, and even Shimano's all-new wireless XTR Di2 drivetrain. To put that in perspective, Yeti's top-tier SB160 frame set lists for $4,800, just $200 less than this Polygon Complete. Our last product highlight of September is the rebirth of one of the most ironically iconic bikes of all time.
It's a Sledgehammer.
Dang.
Yep, the Huffy Sledgehammer is back, but this time as an uncompromised pro-level freestyle BMX frame. The new frame is constructed of full 4130 steel and is designed for progressive park riding, where responsiveness and agility are paramount. This means it gets a steep 75.2-degree head tube angle and short 13.2 to 13.5-inch chainstays. It's also pretty dang light, coming in at just 4.5 pounds or 2 kilograms. Another cool thing about the Sledgehammer is that it's available in both a 20-inch and an 18-inch version, so young rippers can still get the same high-level frame as Huffy rider and Olympian Nick Bruce. Other details include integrated chain tensioners, removable brake tabs, and a debossed Huffy logo on the seat tube. The frame is available now for $399 on Huffy's website. Time now for the deal of the month, where I've perused the 99 Spokes deals page and handpicked my favorite of the hundreds of bargains we've collected there. This time around, it's 35% off the Canyon Spectral ONfly. We reviewed this bike last fall and were super impressed by its blend of power output, low weight, and technical descending prowess. Now, even before the sale, we were impressed with the value of the Spectral ONfly, but take 35% off and you're getting yourself an insane deal. The collective version lists for $4,899, and the standard bike for just $3,899. For that, you get a TQ HPR 50 drive unit, RockShox Select Plus level suspension, and a Shimano Dior group set. I've left a link to the deal on both bikes in the description, should you decide to get yourself a little early Christmas present. Moving on now to industry gossip, and boy, do we have a lot of drama to cover this month. The biggest of which being the recent backlash against the Israel Premier Tech cycling team. The team faced some pretty big protests during the Vuelta a España, with activists targeting both riders and organizers over the squad's name and branding. The tension eventually escalated to the point where Israel Premier Tech removed the Israel branding from their kit mid-tour. Now, it's worth mentioning that Israel Premier Tech is not owned or in any way officially connected to the State of Israel. Instead, it's an independently owned outfit. But team owner Sylvan Adams has openly described himself as an ambassador at large for Israel, which has only reinforced the political overtones. The tension came to a head just this last week though, when their bike sponsor, Factor, threatened to walk away if the name and branding isn't permanently changed. In a statement, Factor says that their concern isn't over taking sides, but in how the controversy affects its brand, staff, and ability to grow. In response to the ultimatum, Adams has reportedly stated that he's willing to work with Factor to rebrand for 2026. But that's not the only drama plaguing road cycling as of late. SRAM just filed an official complaint with the Belgium Competition Authority, or BCA, over the UCI's ban on maximum gearing. At the heart of the issue is SRAM's 10-tooth cog, a staple of their road and gravel group sets. The UCI recently proposed and started testing a rule change that would ban bikes with a gear ratio that exceeded 10.46 meters per pedal revolution, which coincidentally is pretty much exactly what you'd get with a 54 to 11 tooth gear ratio, which is what Shimano and Colnago have on their drivetrains. SRAM argues that this isn't just a technical regulation, but an anti-competitive move that unfairly advantages these other manufacturers. In their formal complaint, SRAM says that, quote, "the public may already mistakenly view SRAM's gearing as illegal, exposing SRAM to reputational harm and potential liability. If the restriction becomes permanent, retailers and OEMs may abandon SRAM products, jeopardizing SRAM's market share in high-performance road drivetrains." SRAM also claims that there's no empirical data or released test results that prove that these wider range drivetrains are in fact more dangerous. All in all, this seems like yet another example of what a lot of the cycling public see as an overstep from the UCI. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. Should the UCI limit its restriction on technological advancement, or should safety and fairness be their first priority? Let me know what you think in the comments. Speaking of the UCI, they recently announced that they're going to begin looking into 32-inch wheels and whether they'll be legal in all forms of racing. But that has not stopped manufacturers from slowing down their progress in this department. The latest of which being KTM, who showed off their new 64 project at the Lenzerheide World Cup. This full 32R hardtail features an aluminum frame that looks pretty dang near production ready, with a snazzy paint job and no jerry-rigged adapters or parts bolted to the bike. But of course, the frame is only half the battle. At this point, it's still difficult to find a fork, wheels, and tires that support this new standard. The 64 uses an unbranded inverted fork, Mavic wheels, and Maxxis Aspen tires, all of which are currently pre-production. KTM had this to say on the subject, quote, "For now, Project 64 remains a work in progress, a blend of curiosity, speculation, and the pursuit of something that might just change the way we think about XC racing." Our last bit of industry news is for all the geometry nerds and tinkerers who have dreamed of one day building their own frame. First Hand Frame Building has announced that they're opening a frame building school in Portland, Oregon that will offer hands-on classes in custom frame design and fabrication. Students will learn everything from basic welding and brazing techniques to geometry setup, alignment, and finishing work, all with the end goal of walking away with a fully rideable steel frame they built themselves. There's no details yet on specific course timelines or pricing, but instruction is slotted to begin in 2026. First Hand says that they want to demystify the frame building process while keeping the craft alive in an era of mass-produced carbon and alloy bikes. If that sounds like something you can get along with, be sure to follow along the progress of this project on First Hand's website. Last but not least, it's time to share a little something that got me stoked that I hope will do the same for you. At the start of the month, myself, my wife, and my daughter had the opportunity to attend Woolley Fest, the first Fest freeride event held in North America in several years. And unsurprisingly, seeing that level of riding up close was absolutely insane. But what got me even more excited was just seeing the health of the scene in general. Tickets weren't cheap, but that didn't stop hundreds of riders, many of whom brought along their spouse or their kids, from attending. And I can't help but think that this kind of exposure from a local rider-ran event is exactly what freeride needs right now. Now, don't get me wrong, I love big televised events like Rampage and Hardline, but there's something special about stripping away the judges and TV cameras and just building and sessioning jumps in the woods. This is, after all, how many of us fell in love with bikes in the first place, and seeing that approach and mentality at the pro level was refreshing. I felt honored to be in the midst of it all, and while my 1-year-old daughter won't remember a second of it, I hope seeing those ladies hit 50-foot doubles left at least some kind of impression on her. And having a kid has officially turned me into a cheese ball. On that note, I think we should wrap up this episode of The Rewind presented by 99 Spokes. Thanks as always for tuning in, and remember that bikes are for everyone. Have fun out there.